by Ciaran Browne. He's an associate professor at Conflict Resolution and Reconciliation, School of Religion Theology and Peace Studies at Trinity College in Dublin. And he joins us live from Cape Town. Thank you so much for being with us on the program. It's good to see you. Now, I mentioned Egypt is trying to reportedly build this wall along Rafah, which would essentially lead to the forceful displacement of the Palestinians there, which many say will lead to Netanyahu's plan all along to ethnically cleanse the population there and move people out of the region and create illegal Israeli settlements in Gaza.
Yeah, well, thanks again, as always, for having me on to join you on this horrendous day. I mean, the images coming out of Gaza from your previous report were absolutely stark and devastating. And I'm just minded of my friends and their families who've been moving, playing a game of cat and mouse around the Gaza Strip for the last 110 days. This is absolutely disgraceful and abhorrent. And as you said, yeah, what we're now beginning to see, or allegedly see, is the Egyptian authorities preparing to build this containment camp just on the outskirts of Rafah in preparation for what we might see is the mass expulsion of Palestinians that would eclipse the Nakba of 1948. You're talking about 1.3 million Palestinians crammed into an already overcrowded Rafah in South Gaza. This is catastrophic and must be challenged at all occasions.
Right, they're essentially giving Palestinians in Gaza two options: either leave or stay here and die. And we've heard from many Palestinians there saying that they don't want to leave their land because they know what's going to happen after they do leave. They're not going to be able to return back home.
Well, exactly. And we have, history has shown us when Palestinians have been ethnically cleansed from their land, when they have been forced off their land. We're talking about 1948, but every other instance of ethnic cleansing that has taken place up until this very day, we know that Palestinians have not been afforded the right to return back to their homes. So this is exactly part of Netanyahu's master plan, of Israel's master plan, which is to completely rid Gaza at this moment in time of the Palestinian population in preparation for eventual Israeli settlements, as you rightly said at the beginning. And this is something that we should be very, very seriously challenging at every instance and at every opportunity. And it's on our governments, it's on the United States government, it's on the Egyptian government, it's on all European governments, governments across the world to stand up and reel this rogue nation state in. This is not acceptable.
Speaking of the politics of all this, if this scenario does indeed become a reality, how is that going to shift political dimensions, not just in the region, but between Israel and the U.S., given that the U.S. had said that this is a red line and this cannot happen?
Well, there's been so many red lines. I mean, only this week or at the end of last week, we saw the American government sign off on over $14 billion dollars worth of aid and weapons. $14 billion worth of weapons making its way to kill Palestinians and giving them to Israel. So let's take what the Americans say when it comes to red lines with a massive pinch of salt here. It's very clear that they are not willing to intervene here. They might use tiny mealy-mouthed statements here and there, but they have not done enough, and that's critical. If this war, whatever you want to call it, this is not a war, but if this was to be brought to a conclusion, it could be brought to a conclusion very quickly with a strong American condemnation, pulling back from the brink, pulling back from the abyss here. And we need to see that right now.
Professor Brendan, thank you so much for being with us here on the NewsHour and sharing that analysis with us. I appreciate it.